Well, hello, once again. If you're new here, I'm Giuseppe, and this is my channel, Old Soul Essentials, where I kind of just talk about anything that could be classified as, words of wisdom or guidance for life, or just, life hacks, all the above. You get the idea. And if you're not new here, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in again. So today's message is going to be along similar lines as previous videos of mine. I seem to be on this kick about beginnings and starting, and I had some more thoughts that I wanted to share. And today's thought is the fact that every single master out there, every expert, every professional, if somebody's a grandmaster with, whatever their thing is, before they could do that, before they could get there, they had to totally suck ass. So every single master at one point back in their beginnings, they totally sucked. They were awful and terrible. And that's a necessary thing to becoming a master. You really can't avoid it. I mean, the only exception to that is like if you're a savant and you're, here goes one of my lights. Bear with me on the light situation here. Anyway, to become a master, you cannot avoid going through that beginning phase where you totally suck. And usually you have to not only suck when you first start out, but you have to totally suck ass for like quite a while before you can even be like okay. But as long as you keep making progress, you will get out of that phase of being crappy, and then you'll be like semi-okay. And it's just a gradual thing, it's a gradient. It's a slow but steady growth type of thing. When a seed is planted, you don't get a full-grown tree the next day. It has to germinate and sprout and work its way up to the surface from the soil, and then grow and grow and grow and spread out and branch out. And many decades later, you end up with a very full, thick trunk, hardy, sturdy tree. So there's really no way around the time that it takes and the effort that it takes. That seed has to like punch through the soil, punch through the shell of the seed, and then once it's at the surface, it's still got to put up with all the elements, wind and rain and animals gnawing at it and this, that, and the other. It has to put up with all kinds of environmental pressures and stress. But that's what helps make it strong. And it's doing what it was designed to do. And I think one of the best ways to become a master is, and one of the ways to make it easy, is to do what you love. You hear it all the time. So I'm gonna break that down in my own way. I think doing what you love just means focusing on what your strengths are, focusing on what you're good at, what you're naturally inclined to do, what you intuitively seem to have. You almost seem to be skilled at it, even though you haven't practiced it for very long. And even if you don't have that immediate, innate, natural ability, there's something that draws you to it and makes it easy for you to just keep doing it, keep learning. So what I mean is like having the passion for something. I'll use myself for an example. I've been playing guitar for probably about 25 years now, and I won't hold back. I'm a pretty damn good guitar player. Now, after 25 years, I think when I hit the 10-year mark, I was like good. I was pretty good. Maybe even by the 5-year mark, but definitely for sure by the 10-year mark, I was pretty good. And then like 15 years, I was in the groove. I was quite good. Now, 20 plus years, I'm a really good guitar player in my own way. I'm not Slash. I'm not a lead type. I do rhythm, and I'm good with chords and keeping a groove, keeping a rhythm. Anyway, when I first picked it up, obviously I totally sucked ass. Like anybody starting an instrument or starting a language or starting a business, starting a YouTube channel, starting a new health routine, starting anything that, at first or on paper is like kind of hard to begin. But to get to where I am now, it wasn't the work involved didn't really ever feel like work to me, because I like playing guitar. Even when I was crappy at it, I still enjoyed it. So it was never a chore. And the point I'm trying to make is that because I had that love for it, even at the very beginning and all throughout, I've always had that love of it. It's always brought me joy. It's always been basically a recreational activity. Even the learning part is like there's a recreational element to it. There were times, obviously, of course, where it would be kind of frustrating and a little difficult and kind of workish, laborious sometimes, but that was a very small factor in my learning curve for guitar. So it's not, what I'm trying to say is I didn't need to be disciplined in order to do it. It wasn't like I had to force myself to keep practicing every day, or I didn't begrudgingly practice chords, and I always enjoyed it. Whereas some people might pick up the guitar and at first they're into it for like 6 months, but then trying to learn tabs and chords and trying to keep a rhythm, they're just not meshing with it, and they don't have that love for it. So for them, it feels like a chore. It feels like it's super laborious. It's, they're like trudging through it, forcing themselves to do it. And if they keep at it, they'll get good, but usually because it's such a chore and basically it's just not fun, they'll quit. They'll give up and they'll stop learning the guitar, and they'll never become a guitar master. And a big part of that is because maybe that's just not their thing. Maybe that's not what they were ever supposed to do. For me, it is. Likewise, making art is something that just comes naturally to me. It comes easy to me, both learning and making it. Kind of just I'm a real creative person. Anything creative, it never feels like work to me. It's always fun. So I think you get the idea. If you're trying to do something and it feels like way too much work and it's always a chore and it never really feels rewarding or fulfilling, and you just plain don't have fun doing it, even the learning part, then maybe you're meant for something else. It's at least something to consider. But yeah, so becoming a master requires that every master had to totally suck at the beginning. And that phase usually lasts a while. It's not a light switch. It's not like you start and then you totally suck at first, and then like within a few weeks or a year, it's like a light switch, boom, click, you're instantly a master. No, there's tiers that you got to graduate to and make progress through, and just it's a slow growth, slow burn type of thing. So any of you out there, whether you want to make a YouTube channel, that's what everybody's doing these days, and I don't blame anybody. YouTube is a truly wonderful thing. It's a way for, it's like Hollywood almost, but without the pretentiousness and the gatekeeping, I guess you could say, or the cost of entry. It's my point is, anybody can put themselves out there. Anybody can film anything and present it to the world. Maybe some people will watch. Maybe lots of people will watch. Maybe nobody will watch. But the fact is, it's there if someone wants to watch it. And these days with our phones, you don't need big fancy camera equipment. You know, you get what I'm saying. It's a very open and easy avenue to share yourself, to share what you do. So yeah, if you know, you're not trying to make a YouTube channel, let's say you're trying to start a business, you're trying to learn a new language, anything that like is kind of like, you know, climbing a mountain. It's like it does take some effort and time. Let's say you want to, I don't know, you get what I'm trying to say though, write a song or write a book, or just be a writer. You're not a writer yet, but you want to become a writer. Well, when you first start out writing, you're gonna be pretty crappy, and you're gonna have to be crappy for a while. Some people just starting out, particularly people with those natural abilities, they might be less crappy starting out. You know, one person is like, okay, that was my cat. Apparently she just up and decided to go completely ballistic. I think that's I think that's good enough. She had the zoomies all of a sudden. That's Cleo. You'll see her at some point. Now she's messing with the curtains. Anyway, as I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted, by my cat. I think they do it just to entertain not just themselves, but their owners. Okay. Hi, Cleo. Yeah, there she goes. As long as she stays away from the camera. So I was saying, yeah, the message of this video, if you want to be a master, when you first start out, you're going to totally suck. And you have to accept that. You have to embrace that. Be aware of it. Be mindful of it. And just be okay with it. And know that it's like a rite of passage. It's the toll for entry. You want to become a master, you're going to have to be really crappy for a while starting out. And this is true of anybody that's, you know, an expert or a professional at anything. But the good thing is, as long as you don't give up, as long as you keep going, you're only going to get better. As long as you keep going, as long as you care about it, as long as you keep putting in effort and keep trying, you literally cannot get worse. Like every single day, every single day, week, month, year, every second of every day, every minute of every day, what you're putting into it, you're getting out of it, and you're only going to get better. You will not get worse. So that's some good incentive right there. And like I mentioned too about having a passion for something and just having a love for doing something, that is really going to make things easy or easier. There's still going to be It's still going to be difficult at times, but if you have that passion and that love, that's going to just make it easy to have drive and discipline to where you don't really feel like you have to force yourself to keep going. You're just going to want to naturally. And like I said, if you are not feeling like it's a chore every time, all the time, then maybe it's not. Maybe there's something else that you could try that will feel more, that you'll just mesh better with, and that you won't struggle so much with as far as just keeping it going. When we're all born, like living life, being a human is a perfect example of something where in order to become a master, you gotta totally suck ass starting out. Every single one of us, when we're born as a baby, we are completely helpless. We're completely useless. We're just little balls of mush. We cannot walk, we can't talk, we can't feed ourselves, we can't regulate our emotions, we can't even think straight, we can't do anything. So as far as like living life and surviving and thriving and being skilled and she had to pick today. I'm gonna have to find a different spot to mount this camera. Okay, as I was saying, yeah, baby is, as far as like living life, thriving, surviving, being good at life, every baby sucks ass at it. And you pretty much suck ass at surviving, thriving, living life up until about, I suppose on average, until you're about 16 or 17, maybe 18. Around that age, most people could survive if they had to. Some people maybe could survive 13 or 14. It's possible, by your 10, 11, 12, 13, by that age, if you just suddenly were on your own and had to survive, you could probably get by because you can walk, you can talk, you have some fairly mature thoughts going on. You're still very young, but you're able to get around in the world and make sense of the world, and you know what you need, relatively what's right and wrong, and you get the idea. In the grand scheme of things, though, some people don't get the hang of life. They would not be able to survive and thrive until they're like 20 something. But even still at that point, they could get by. Now, as far as being a master at life, at living life, hardly anybody is a master at life before the age of 30. Almost nobody is a master at life before the age of 30. Some people are. Some people get lucky, they get all kinds of resources and mentors and opportunities and privileges, early in life, and by 25 they're like killing it. These people, these 20-year-olds, 22-year-olds that like have a house already and have sold 3 businesses, like forget about it. I don't know what they did or what they had, but there are those people out there. They are the exception to the rule, though. They're minorities. Most people do not really have life figured out, let alone mastered, until after 30. And I would personally say that on average, most people don't even get the hang of life until about 40. When you hit 40, there's that saying, life begins at 40. And I totally agree with that. Because up until then, it's all trial and error, figuring things out, figuring out who you are, figuring out where you want to be, what you want to do, soul searching, making mistakes, failing, hardships, ups and downs. But by 40, I think most people have been through enough crap and also had enough luck, whether it's their own or just fate, By 40, most people are like doing okay. they're at the okay or maybe pretty good stage. Some people don't get to that stage until they're 50 or 60. Some people never get the hang of life. Even if they're not mentally ill or have disorders, they're just something about the way they are and the way they learn. They struggle their whole entire life and they never really even get the hang of it. But a lot of people, I think once they hit 40, they start finding their groove. And then maybe around 45, 50, it's like, now you're quite good. And then 55, 60, around there, give or take, I think most people are like kind of a master at that point. You could argue maybe mid 60s, late 60s, but now we're getting to like end of life, 70s, 80s, 90s, that's end of life time for most people. But just the same, if you're in your 70s, safe to say you've probably mastered life. You know all the things of what to do, what not to do, how to do everything, and how to conduct yourself in a way that is like makes your life decent. So that was a whole thing, but you get the idea. Life is a perfect example of where we start out just terrible, and this goes back to like my very first video, where a bad start is better than no start. We all kind of have a bad start in life. It's basically mandatory. You're a baby and you just can't do anything. So starting out life, it's a rough start. You come out crying, the doctor slaps you, you get sick, you get ear infections, you're spitting up milk on your mom or whatever, and it's just ugly. But it leads to something that eventually becomes like that seed in the ground and a full-grown tree. It's that ugly start and that period of totally sucking ass eventually transitions and becomes something very pleasant, something very enjoyable, something very beautiful, something very strong. And just like that tree, we have to go through all the pressures and pains and sufferings and tortures in life, getting made fun of in school, or getting dumped by your girlfriend, going through divorce, having a child die, getting mugged, losing your house, all these terrible things that happen to us. And this goes back to like the story of the Zen farmer. There, that saying of the silver lining, every cloud has a silver lining, or however it goes. Blessings in disguise, everything happens for a reason. Good things are bad things. Bad things can become good things. Ultimately, things are just things, and if something happens, it's just something that happens. And whether it's good or bad is all up to us. It's up to our attitude, how we feel about it, our perspective, how we look at it, what we choose to get out of it, or we can just resist it and kick and fight and scream and reject it and not be graceful and do everything but accept the reality for what it is. So just remember that for you, for yourself, for anyone you know, it takes time to get good at something. And you will never get good at something if you don't have that beginning. And that beginning is often one of the hardest parts. And we postpone that a lot. So going back to another video, don't wait, do it now. And then I'm going to incorporate a message from yet another video. Don't hold back. Don't hold yourself back. Just like when a singer is singing, if they're timid at all or have let themselves lose any bit of confidence while they're singing and they hold their voice back, their performance will suffer, and the audience will know that they are not giving it their all, that they're not belting it out, that they're not fully into it and just doing it as hard as they possibly can. That's what's going to make it authentic and it's going to give it a a quality of sincerity and potency. You want to be potent. Don't hold back. Don't wait. Do it now. A bad start is better than no start. And be like the Zen farmer. Whatever happens in that moment, it might seem good and it might seem bad, but that's just that's how you're choosing to view it. Because down the line, a series of events might happen, and then that thing that when it happened you thought it was bad, well, now after all these other things have happened, you can see that this thing was actually good. So, like I said, today's message is every single master out there, there was a time long before they were master where they had to just totally suck ass, and they had to totally suck ass for quite a while, and then they were like semi, like kind of okay, then they were okay, then they were like halfway decent, and then they're like pretty good, and then they're really good, then they're just like great, and then they're a master. So remember that. Don't get frustrated if you are not a master yet. Keep at it. You will be. On that note, I think I should probably end this because it's probably getting long now. And if you've stuck it out to this point, pat yourself on the back. I thank you very much for that. Much love to you. I hope you'll tune in for another one. Who knows what it'll be? Anyway, this has been another productive episode of Old Soul Essentials with me, your card-carrying old soul, Giuseppe. Thanks again, everybody, and namaste. Like and subscribe, or I'll use the hose on you. All right, bye.